Okay, so let's get to what I'm going to be talking about a little bit today. Part of it, anyways. So this is from Dante Cook. I think this is a guy from, Simply Bitcoin. So it says a crazy, not so crazy idea. Tesla will become the most valuable company in the world by adopting a Bitcoin standard. By 2030, a self-driving Tesla will be earning Bitcoin that will replace real estate as the ultimate passive income machine. And it's not as far-fetched as it sounds. Zero overhead. The car handles all operations autonomously. Scalable, whether you own one car or 100, the system works seamlessly. Instant payments, which we were talking about before. Transactions happen over the Lightning Network, fast, frictionless, and global, and permissionless. No middleman, no banks, no employees, just a car and a wallet. And an insurance flow. Tesla insurance premiums could be reinvested into Bitcoin, compounding wealth over time. It's the perfect combination of AI, passive income, and the future of money. All of your money is being invested in the best performing asset 11 out of the last 14 years. Okay. So let's talking about Tesla
concepts for
earning Bitcoin with their self-driving taxis. So let's listen to what Andreas has to say here, kind of going along the same lines as that.
You can start building completely new concepts for payments that we've never thought of before,
and then new technologies on
and then new technologies on that. Now, what happens when you combine? Here's another interesting one. Bitcoin is the first financial system in history that doesn't require personhood for ownership of money. Every single financial system we have, at the end of the day, money is owned by either a person or a collection of people as a corporation. That is a fundamental truth. It's required by the legal system. Bitcoin doesn't care. You can be software and you can own money. Software can own money. Let me say that again. Software can own money. We don't know what that does, but let me give you just one example. Uber, Bitcoin, self-driving cars. Combine those three together and you have the self-owning taxi. A car that is a corporation that owns itself, pays for the car lease, the car insurance, and the gasoline from the revenues it makes, giving passengers a ride, and there's not a single human involved in that management. Now, that is a completely bizarre construct. It's one we can't even imagine at the moment. It violates several of the assumptions we make as a society about liability and legal responsibility. As long as it doesn't crash, actually, it does some really interesting things. It's a really damn good taxi in many ways. But that's just one example, and that's not something we have today, only slightly different plus Bitcoin. That's something that is impossible today. And you start opening up these branches of innovation and exploration in science, really interesting things. It's a really damn good taxi in many ways. But that's just one example, and that's not something we have today, only slightly different plus Bitcoin. That's something that is impossible today. And you start opening up these branches of innovation and exploration in science that simply have no precedent. And that's where it really gets interesting. So on a 10 to 20-year horizon, you can't make any predictions anymore because there's no precedent to what you're doing. Just like in 92, you can't predict Facebook. It's impossible to predict it.
Right. That's scary. That has some like AI, fascinating. I mean,
All right, so I think, and I rewound it there. I don't like jumping around, but I think it was important to hear that again, where he said, this is not something that's what we have now, slightly different, but you add Bitcoin to it. This is something that's impossible today. And if you really think about that phrase in this specific example, that's pretty much what Bitcoin's doing right now. It's truly unlocking our human potential and what's possible here. And I really think that there's a lot of people sleeping on it. I mean, just the fact that Bitcoin is so encompassing and it involves so many different layers to it, and it affects every different part of society here. But like, people are really missing out on the fact that Bitcoin isn't just going to keep going up in terms of fiat price. it's going to reshape and completely flip on its head everything that we do today. Everything. It's going to unlock unimaginable things. And I mentioned this yesterday, but honestly, the only ceiling that's on Bitcoin, the value of Bitcoin, is what we put on ourselves. The only limit we have is our own imagination. So if we can think something up now, Bitcoin pretty much makes anything possible, including something like that. And I really think that these things are going to be very popular in the future. He basically said it's going to replace real estate in terms of somebody's got a house, rent it out. You have to worry about renters, tenants, property tax, all these different things. You have to worry about all that. If you flip that into something like this, where you don't need a human involved there, that's kind of the difference. And you might even start using houses for the same thing, where you could basically have a house. I mean, it would be a little bit more, but at the same time, it's still doable. If you implement that system and you start, I'm just thinking through this in my own head right now. But if you had a house and it's all advertised online, everything's paid online, people show up at the house, they have their key, they automatically receive the code, which changes every time. You have a robot that cleans the house. These are the things that are going to be possible now with AI, robotics, and Bitcoin. This would not have been possible before. But still, and so maybe the corporation owns the house, which is the company itself. I don't know. Pretty wild though. And the thing that I want to really take from this and going into today is that he talked about 10 or 20 years away. And that's kind of what the whole membership that we have, it's called living in the future, because that's where we're focused on. We're already living in a world where 1 sat equals $1. And when you live in that world, you see the world completely differently. Right? And so even the fact that and I want to give a couple shout outs here, because somebody sent in 1,500 sats. Somebody sent in 121 sats. Looks like that was from Zapstream, and 88 sats. The fact that people can even do that is truly mind blowing to me. That I can just sit here on a screen, add value to you, and you can send value back to me through a QR code. Like, we're already there. We're already at this point. We're doing that right now. But if you think about all what this is going to unlock, not only with technology, not only with getting rid of all the bullshit that has held us down for so long, but it unlocks a whole economy, a global economy that we've never had access to before. So you have the internet, you have AI, you have Bitcoin. The world that we're heading into here over these next 20 years are something that we can't even fathom right now. And so kind of my point of this whole thing is that it's very easy to own Bitcoin. And that's where everybody should start. You buy Bitcoin, you learn how to protect that Bitcoin, you learn how to secure that Bitcoin and your whole setup, and then you learn how to pass that Bitcoin down. That's kind of like your first steps within Bitcoin. That's what you should be focused on. But then after that, that's when you start exploring the possibilities, the opportunities within the world that we're heading into. And that's kind of what I'm going to be talking about today and tomorrow in terms of how we can start getting ready for that today, both financially, both knowledge-wise, and with the tools that are here now that we can start using to get ready for this world that's coming. Because nothing's going to stop this now. Technology only moves one way. And so you can either fight it, resist it, and hope for the best, or you can build it into your own life. You can start learning about it and take advantage of it. That's what we have the opportunity to do today. So with things like Bitcoin, with things like Nostr, with things like a Start9 server, all of these things are going to work together for us. We're not going to be working for it anymore. That's the difference. And so this second part of the show today, we're going to be talking about Web 5, which is building a new internet around Bitcoin. We're going to be talking about Start9 servers. We're going to be talking about AI and how it's going to affect our lives and how we can take advantage of that versus be scared of it. So I'm going to cut off the show right away. I just want to check on the